Hey there. Just wanted to say really quickly, Paryse has given me a discount code for you guys. You can get 15% off your purchase at Paryse Style using code BIGFEET. No spaces, BIGFEET. Links and codes will be in the description, and this is a limited time deal, y'all, so shop quickly. This code is running only until Sunday, December 29th, 2024, 5 p.m. EST on the dot. Again, use code BIGFEET for 15% off your purchase at Paryse Style only from today, December 26th, 2024 until December 29th, 2024 at 5 p.m. EST. All information will be in the description. All right, let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who is tuning in today is doing super fantastic. We have a very special guest with us today. Fun fact, a couple of you have actually hit me up over on Instagram and was telling me that I should do an episode with this person. And, when she reached out in my comments and I reached out to her in the DMs, it was kind of like it was meant to be. So today I am introducing to you Paryse, a model, actress, and brand owner. I'm pretty sure if you've hit me up over on Instagram and asked me to do an episode with her, you already know who she is. She's a superstar, honestly, in my eyes. Hi, Paryse. How are you doing today?
My God, I'm like so happy with that intro. Holy moly. Thank you.
How's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm doing great.
That is super great to hear. Please just take a second to introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh my. Okay. I begin. All right. So I am a middle-aged woman. Uh, true. I'm over half a century old who's had a really fantastic life. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations. I've had a lot of great things happen, a lot of bad things happen in my life. I was a former model and a former actress, but girl, I am back in. I'm active duty on both
Period.
fronts, and I'm the owner of Paryse Style, which is a tall women's clothing brand. Fashion. I'm not a jean girl. I'm the fat fashion.
Yes. Obviously, I'm going to have all of your links in the description too, so people can find you. And we all know because, you literally have your own brand for tall women. We all know you're tall. I want to hear about your experience growing up as a tall girl, the good, the bad, the ugly. What was that like for you? And also, can you also let us know how tall you are?
Yeah, you know what? I forgot to mention that. I should have had that besides old and ugly. No, I'm
No.
6'2". I'm 6'2" and proudly curvy. I'm also a size 16. So I wear that badge of honor quite well. So there you go. That's my height. So good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's funny, come to think of it, I think when I was living in Europe, because I'm an army brat, and my father was stationed in Germany and Spain and all those places. I remember he enrolled me into Girl Scouts, but of course you
Oh.
have to start as a brownie, right? I honestly think I was like the tallest brownie. I felt like that actor in Elf. I was the tallest brownie.
Oh.
Um, Should have been a scout. I probably thought I was a Girl Scout, but that was the first memory of me realizing I'm like a square in a trying to fit in a circle peg.
Hmm.
And the next memory, we moved to California after Europe, and my dad retired and went to law school. But I went to private school, and that's going to lead into clothing. So they put me in everything that a parent should. Um, Vault, gymnastics, ballerina. And I really remember ballerina because I have big feet. Like I'm a size 13 now, but I could have been a size 9 back then in third grade, as far as I'm concerned. Because I remember
Wow.
they spent the money with the tutus and the stockings, which, really had to stretch because I think the crotch was by the knees, even at that age. And they're trying to go up on their toes, and I'm holding the bar going, like this is not going to work. I was miserable. I was crying, and they basically said, "Hey, listen, maybe being a ballerina is not for your daughter, and she is a little bit tall." So that was the kind of the first introduction to you don't fit in as
Mm.
being a ballerina. So I guess I was the black swan. So I guess so. So yeah, that was my earliest memories of that.
Yeah, I get you with the whole ballet thing too. I actually in another podcast episode with another guest, her name is Debbie. When she was talking about her time in dance, I remember telling her that I was so uncoordinated. Like I obviously because it was just at a time where I haven't grown into my body. So when I tell you arms and legs were flailing everywhere, falling flat on my face, I did tap dance, I did ballet, all it was horrible. So I understand the
Not made for
struggle with that.
giraffes. No,
Huh?
it's not made for giraffes. And I'm okay with that. So
Yeah, exactly. And as like a follow-up, what was something involving your height? It could be a question, it could be a comment. What was something involving your height that you absolutely hated hearing?
to be fair, I don't remember hearing anything that threw me off. Even like Mean Girls or Cliques, I got along with everyone.
Ooh.
So I just remember like hanging around a clique, and of course you see Paryse's head above everybody, and they never. I know, right? You know that feeling. They never outcasted me. Fortunately for me, in grade school, junior high, and high school, there was always one girl taller than me. There was always that one girl taller than me. So I didn't feel so bad. But yeah, no, thankfully with private school, and if you have the opportunity and you've got a tall kid, because I didn't have to wear or choose clothes on a daily basis and I had a uniform, that was
Hmm.
godsend. I mean, I basically had white Oxford and the plaid skirt, which we all know is back in fashion now, right? So, which I will never ever wear again because I went through it my whole life. Sorry, it's back in fashion, not for me. Saddle shoes. Oh my God, can I just talk about the saddle shoes? My I my parents were able to find like a size 9 and 10 in saddle shoes for some reason back then. They were, and that was in the 70s, okay? But I wanted the smaller size and I would cram my toes in there and I ended up with blisters always suffering on the knuckle, the top knuckle. Since then, the hammer toe, I've had revisions and I've taken care of that. But you want to have that smaller shoe like all your other little girlfriends have. And that's the thing about being young. You care about what others think. But as
Hmm.
you start to ripen and get older, you don't care. So,
Very, very true.
but I cared then, I'll be honest. I totally cared.
That's very true. And I also feel you. I'm saying I feel you a lot, but I do feel you with the whole private school thing because I went to a Catholic school when I was younger. So having uniform did kind of help the situation. But the only thing with me was that the stockings were never long enough. Like they were literally falling off of my behind walking throughout school. And we had specific gym uniforms. So they had set sweatpants, set shirts. The sweatpants, we would have to get the largest size and they were never long enough. So I'm wearing these huge sweatpants that are like literally slipping off because I was tiny as a child. I was
Now,
tall, but like tiny.
okay.
So I was not filling out those sweatpants at all. So they were just falling right off me and they were still too short. So even uniforms can sometimes be annoying. But anyways, enough
It's
about
our
uniforms.
introduction to trauma, if you think about it. This
A
is sort
little
of
bit.
because our parents love it. "Oh, you're so wonderful. You're so great. No, you're not too tall. You're just, well, they don't even say you're too tall. They don't, maybe their friends or something, pass a comment, oh my, she's growing, that sort of thing. But I think those formative younger years is when you start to go, maybe I'm a little different, but yeah, definitely the uniforms helped and the tights did not help you. Thankfully, California, we had bobby socks. So
Okay.
it was good.
Okay. Now that we're done talking about uniforms, so you did mention that you were a model and still a model, you got back into it to this day. Did being tall ever work for or against you in the modeling industry? Is there a specific story where your height played a very key role?
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of that because just like fashion, modeling is as well cyclical. So when I fortunately started, and it wasn't any wanting of my own, I think it was my dad you mentioned like, did you ever hate a certain thing that was said? I paid no mind. But my dad kept hearing from people when we'd walk through Burdines or something, your daughter's so tall, she should be a model. She should be a model. So my dad said, "You want to be a model?" And I'm not a tomboy, but I'm like, like I didn't think about it. I know I wasn't one of those that was like in the mirror going, "I'm so pretty," and I'm like none of that. So he's like, "Well, you're tall and you're good looking. Let's give it a whack." So he took me to, and this was in Fort Lauderdale at the time, and I'm getting off topic for a second, but it's all going to make sense. So he took me to, I think it was John Casablanca School of Modeling, and they went, "Oh, we just love your daughter. Oh, she's wonderful." And at the time, that was Hunter Reno, top model, who's like well over 6 feet. Her mother was the director of that place. And Janet Reno, I think, is in Congress or was in Congress, something like that. So that's like a whole family dynamic. So my dad's like, "Really?" Yeah. Yes. And it's only going to be $1,000 to join this. And he's like, "Oh, but you got a lot of faith in her, right?" "Oh, yes, so much faith." "Why don't you pay for it?" They paid for it. The John Casablanca School of Modeling paid for it. My dad was not going to budge. He knew
Wow.
that I could possibly be a moneymaker for them, which is commission made off of whatever. So I did the whole thing, and I did, the runway and how to apply makeup and how to dress the part, how to look, how to conduct yourself when you go on an audition, that sort of thing. Well, that shut down. And that same woman, Ms. Reno, ended up opening Elite Miami. So that was my first agency down in Miami, Elite, John Casablanca Elite. And my first job was for, I think, Halston. Halston, it was a fashion show. The clothes fit great. I was like this, and I think I was about 5'10" and a half, maybe 5'11". I've grown gradually over the years, thank God. So I was about 5'10" and a half, 5'11". And of course, they crammed my size 10 feet at the time into size 8. So you can just imagine I'm there, I'm sucking it up, buttercup, and I'm about to go on stage, and this is so painful. And yeah, and it's like I just feel the tears just rolling down. Going back there and I kicked those things off. I'm like, I'm not going back out there again. Well, they realized, okay, Paryse is not built to do runway, although she's tall.
Mm.
So that was that one experience. So then being cyclical, they put me into print, and then print, I was fine. 5'10" and a half, 5'11". That's
Yes.
actually a great height. And I think you've mentioned that before.
Hmm.
Did that, and I was toggling, working with Wilhelmina in Miami. Did exceedingly well. My biggest clients were Germans because they liked the big, blonde women with bones and structure. Like my thing was not going to Japan.
Mm.
So I was a South Beach girl. I did that, and I started building up my portfolio. And then I headed off to Canada of all places because I'm dual citizen. And that's where I really started to build my portfolio, because you do editorial, and editorial pays poo-poo. You're just doing it for camera experience. You're doing it because your height does not matter in editorial. And you're working with photographers who also, besides doing editorial for magazines, they're also shooting catalogs, and they see you move well, they like you. You know what? They make exceptions. It doesn't matter that you're tall. They'll put you next to someone 5'8", and they'll make it work.
Mm.
So that, and I did that successfully for, wow, well over 10 years. Then I headed off to Australia. So Australia was a different nugget. And again, this is between then and Australia. I was living in Spain, I was living in Germany, I was living in France. That's where I cut my teeth in Paris. My first job was the Statue of Liberty. They dressed me up in a blue sequence crown and holding a torch. I went, "Well, isn't this funny?" You're at the Statue of Liberty. I don't care. Why would I care? I got paid and I got editorial. And my agents had trust in me that, she can take one on the chin, boom. And it just started to go from there. So again, that's when you start to get calloused on your skin, and you really start to realize, what do I care? So that's that. And then I go to Australia, and boom, Kate Moss. Ah, yes, I think she's pretty, but Kate Moss came on the scene, and she was all of maybe 5'7". And she was the width of a cigarette.
Oh.
So, here's Cindy Crawford, Ashley Montana. You've got Elle McPherson, who's 6 feet tall, who was like the OG of swimsuit, illustrated. These girls that were 5'10", and Ashley was 6'1", and like again, Elle McPherson 6 feet. All of a sudden, not so much them, but other people started to go more into they were tossed into a plus size division. If you were oversized 10, you were plus size. Before that
Mm.
was size. So you had to now be a 4, 6, or an 8 to be in the straight division. So just like fashion, again, modeling is cyclical. So did I work when I was in Australia? No, I did not work at all when I was in Australia. I didn't even shoot a test. It was very depressing. So then I go back to New York and my agent goes, have a seat. Goes, have a seat. And I'm like, okay, yeah. She goes, you're now on the plus board. I'm like, huh? Because I was still a size 10, 12. I mean, mind you, I'm a 14, 16 now, but as a 10, 12, maybe an 8 on a really good unbloated day. And she goes, yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I went on the board, did more photos. I noticed, like, I guess she was telling the photographer, put her in sweaters, make her look thicker, make her look fuller. So that was the whole trend that was going on, was plus size. But every time I walked into an audition, they're like, well, she's not plus size, because my height deferred my size numbers, but my numbers don't lie. I mean, it's just like, it just, my height at that time now was like 6'1", did not look like someone who's 5'10".
Okay,
That's
yeah.
5'10" comparing to someone who's 5'6". I mean, your body starts to change in those increments of,
Hmm.
of sizes. So you can't compare apples and oranges. Even 5'10" to 6'1", our frames are totally different. Yes,
Yeah.
you're tall. I'm taller and my body's gonna be bigger, but doesn't mean I'm fat. So here I
Yeah.
was in the conundrum of plus size, and I wasn't getting booked as a plus size model. I did work for Spiegel and Lane Bryant. I've worked with Anna Nicole Smith. I've worked along Queen Latifah and all those fashion shows for Lane Bryant. But I was actually the thin one of all the Lane Bryant shows. If you Google Paryse Allen, Lane Bryant, it might pop up. But I worked with her a few times with Anna, and so that was an experience. So yeah, Lane Bryant was like kind of my bread and butter for a while. So what happened is a lot of these people were booking really large women. And I'm talking 18, 20, 22, 24, 26 at the height of 5'10". Clothing wasn't moving. It wasn't moving because the reality of it is that women didn't want to see themselves in the catalogs coming in through their front door at that size. So
Mm.
then you saw a shift of people. Then I started to work again better. 10, 12, 14, 16, and even smaller girls. And if you thumb through a catalog, you'd see 1X, 2X, 3X, 4X, 5X. Because people wanted to know that their size was available, but they did not want to look at themselves.
Oh,
That was just the reality of it. I'm not making this,
wow.
because I asked the art directors, I'm like, how come you've shifted and I'm booked again all of a sudden after a year? And like, well, it's just things weren't moving. And we get feedback from people and they've got their data. So I was just listening to what the data was. So that was that. I mean, and I've stayed in the plus realm for a little bit, but even my agent in New York, and I'm with JL Model Management. So you can, if you want to lurk and Google me, you can go there. You will see me, but I'm under the classic division. So yeah, I mean, I still didn't book Macy's. Wanted to book me twice, but of course I was on a cruise and out of town. So I kind of like, I didn't burn that bridge yet. Still gonna book it with them. She just put me into she put me into classic because I'm well over 50. And as boomers, I'm not a boomer, but as boomers are getting older, they're the ones with the liquid cash. They're the ones that are purchasing things and they're being neglected. So you're going to see a lot of older people come in. You see Elon Musk's mom, like doing campaigns. You're seeing Pamela Anderson makeup free. You're seeing all this stuff. So again, like fashion, it's ever so shifting. And that's
Yeah.
where I stand today. I'm just a classic model.
That sounds like quite the journey for sure. And also, you did say you actually commented under one of my posts, and you brought this up a little bit in the beginning of your journey with being a model, regarding shoe sizes. I don't recall what size you said you were. I know when you were younger, you said you were like a 9 or a 10. And then obviously, I'm pretty sure it grew to be larger. And then how that also impacted your ability to do runway. Do you think that this kind of reflects a larger issue with inclusivity in modeling and even in fashion?
That's a superior question. And no, seriously, it is. Yeah, so I started probably at a size 10, like I said, in third grade. And just like when I was starting to model, I was 5'10", half 5'11" on my driver's license when I graduated high school, and escalated from there. So did my feet. They escalated and they got longer. After pregnancy, they got longer. So, yeah, so they're a comfortable size 13 right now. So my experience is Paryse always had a suitcase full of clothes, and she had a suitcase full of shoes. Most people
Oh,
travel. I travel to, even to this day, when I'm traveling with my husband, I could pack a lot less if I didn't have these pontoons to pack. And that's just the reality of it. I mean, I'm sorry. We're like, we all have Viking blood in us somehow. I mean, there's a reason why we're tall, our hands are long, our limbs are long, and feet. I mean, just that came organically somehow. So that's a pain point I have to carry around and do. But yeah, I used to take it on sets. I mean, Paryse was known for bringing my bag red, black, open toe, closed toe, strappy, blah, 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 flat. I mean, the stylists were very happy. And that was really good to do, really smart, because it made them look good. Shoes were always pristine. And they didn't have to think about it too much. So when I was shooting, and here I think what you're talking about, I specifically remember I was in Acapulco. And of course, they rent these beautiful, like, homes on the side of the cliff. And I actually have to post that on my Instagram, how they would cut down the back of my pants, shimmy it down to make it look longer and whatnot. But they would actually take shoes. Let's say the shoes were very poignant for the shoot because they were selling them. Did I want to not get booked on their next job because of my big feet? No. Was I going to suffer through it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because sorry, yeah.
yeah.
So to be like, oh, sorry, the German accent, and I'm gonna do it because I love Germans. But they're like, oh, the shoes are a little small. You okay with that? We just cuts the back, and I'm like, do it. So at least I had pantyhose back then. Oh my God, and talk about shooting in the tropics when it's 101 degrees and you're wearing pantyhose. That's just a whole nother story. But anyways, at least that helped me slide into these glossy heels with that back, and they were kind. They really were kind. They'd stretch in the back. And so you actually had to kind of position your body and move and make sure your shoes never went sideways and doing those kind of like poses. It always had to be very demure. And so I think they really appreciated that I did all that effort. Now, whenever I had the opportunity, boom, I flipped them off.
Yeah.
So that was fine. So it started becoming a joke. But then when you realize you got booked again and booked again, like it was kind of like you're selling. Number one, they want to see sales. Number two, she's a trooper. So although she may have bigger feet, and there may be a girl that doesn't have bigger feet, we're not sure if she could sell, although she's good looking. They went with Old Faithful, which I was very grateful for.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely a lot of tears. A lot of tears have happened when I've worn smaller shoes.
I mean, I can imagine how uncomfortable that is. And I don't know, it's like, do you think, I mean, this is your personal opinion, like, no tea, no shade to anybody, of course, but do you think they should have included shoes that were large enough or were able to fit your feet?
Honestly, no. I mean, we are a very small populace. And I think we just need to realize that we're a small populace. And we do have to fit in to that, because when it comes down to ordering and manufacturing, and I'm just telling you this as a brand,
Mm-hmm.
they want to get you by the hookspas. You're only going to order X amount. Well, I can cut your break if you do X amount. It's like, well, I don't know if this is going to move. So I'm a new brand. Am I going to put myself in a deficit? No, but I think it's a great product. So samples are known to be smaller sized, hence why they would even a thin, tall girl, they would cut the back, shimmy it down to make those 32 lengths look like 34, 35. And they would cut the backs of shoes because they're getting them from China. That's the biggest shoe manufacturer ever. You only make your Cinderella. I don't care where you're buying it. 95% come from China.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it. Unless you're going to a fine Italian cobbler in Milano or Firenze or whatever, you're getting them from China. So of course, just like their models, their feet are tiny, and they must look at the graphics and CADs that come in from designers and go, oh my God, I didn't realize we're doing a small boat here. Like We are a minority. The
Hmm.
moment we accept that we're a minority, we can move on with our life. Now, do we have to be a minority dressing, looking fashionable, wearing shoes that fit us, and not being in the back of a group picture and standing forward? There's so many other things as tall women that we can do and not fuss about. But as far as shoes, when you put skin in the game in something, you own a shoe company. And I look at these shoe companies that have size 12 and 13. We'll get back to that in a second. I just like it's a big investment for 1% of the populace over 6 feet that may have size 12, 13, 14. Like
Mm.
how much, especially when you're told I only can do this shoe for X amount of dollars, um, how much can you possibly want to order in various styles and sizes that you are comfortable sitting on until people find you? Or worse yet, they continue to order from China for $49, $59, whatever. So it's a really double-edged sword. I'm telling you, it's just
Yeah.
like you can't go wah, 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 and cry when there's tall outfits out there that are trying to get you in fashion stuff. Try them first. I mean,
Yeah.
hands down, I've tried to order and do shoes too when I was in the process of putting this all together. And the stuff that came to me was absolute freaking garbage. And I imagine that's the garbage that goes through Amazon, to be fair, because a true designer, when they get that in, even from China, they're going to be like, no, you need to narrow this down. You need to adjust the heel. So it's not like just like a bulk thing coming out because they've got so many outlets and warehouses and different faces that you don't know about that are selling this stuff or people just tag that and it's so ugly. But yeah, give your Only Maker, your Cinderella, all those other places that it's not coming off the top of my head. Give them a shot first. They invested in you. So why are you leaving them in the dust? Because if you leave them in the dust and they shut down, you ain't got no reason to cry. So if you get those shoes that really don't have that fit, they're square toed, you look like Frankenstein coming because it's just a general size 12 13, that's on you because you didn't support the people that go, I'm here to solve a problem. Pay attention. That's what we're all trying to do. All the tall brands are trying to do that. So it's not extended sizing and longer lengths and longer shoes. It's about the fit. And I
Mhm.
know the African American community, the fit, like I'm narrow, but I know it's wider. And sure, you can buy it Torrid. I've shopped at Torrid. Pieces of crap. And that's me being polite with my mouth, okay? It's I mean, it's not that expensive. It looks not that expensive. And it's I still have some stuff that I think I just need to give Goodwill. I mean, it's just like they're not quality, classy, shiny, glossy, burgundy, like fashion now. So please shop with your smaller brands. I'm begging you.
Yeah, honestly, I really like the point that you're making. It's like instead of complaining about what other brands don't have, try to invest that time in finding the brands that do have what you need and do have what you want. So I think
And
that that's a great point.
here's another side note. I will watch videos of people going to brunches, to distilleries, to vacation here and there, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that they're first people, but I'm just saying, like, by the time you do like these Christmas drinks, let's say, okay, I shut that down. I'm not doing Christmas drinks. They're $15 to $20 a pop, right? And if you're not in the city and you've got, public transportation, you've got Uber. So you've got your Uber back and forth. You've got these drinks that are going to tally up with whatever snacks you have of over $100. And yet you may go, oh my God, that dress is 150. What the hell did you just put down your gullet? It's going in the toilet tomorrow morning that
Yeah,
you can't wear again and again and again. Like for me, it
exactly.
just doesn't make financial sense. That these are the people that are just going to go and then go, no, I'm not going to buy that for that. But you just drank that. This makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah, I see that a lot too. That does, I get that, especially but I spoke more so about that in the episode with fast fashion about how like tall fast fashion is a scam and stuff because it's like you think you're buying it tall. Number one, it's not always tall, and number two, as you mentioned before, the fit can suck. Instead of investing the money that you bought 7 pairs of pants from that tall fast fashion brand, you could buy two good quality ones from an actual brand that understands your pain point. So I think that
You
that's
know what?
honestly,
I'm actually a very big Spanx fan. So, I mean, I've done them for years, and I'll look at the tall girl communities, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's so expensive. It's 125 or 150." Well, wait for the sale if you don't care about securing your size. But it's just like tried and true. I wash them inside out. They last. They look good. I mean, I'm only a 34 inseam at 6'2", but I like my 35 and 36, which is why I always provide 38-inch seam. But yeah, it's just like you just have to think about all these little factors of where you spend your money, what's your value, what you're getting back, and then shoes like you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you really do sound very knowledgeable in the whole fashion and model space too, just hearing you speak today. And I did want to ask, like, do you have any advice for any tall woman that's going into the modeling industry?
As far as becoming a model, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm 6'2", and my agent lists me as 5'11", because here's the deal.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
no,
one
no,
of them.
that jaw up, pick that jaw up. Yes. Okay, so here's the deal. Plus size is comfortably 5'8" to 5'11",
Mhm.
size 18, 20. They really don't want them any rounded, more voluptuous than that. Again, like what we talked about earlier, people actually don't want to see themselves like that. Like in their mind, they're a size 14, 16, maybe a 10, 12, but they want to see their size on a catalog or, when they order online.
Yeah.
So I am listed as 5'11". That's funny. It's strange. And why she takes a chance with her clients to lie, that's not my business. But when I show up, still to this day, with my shoe bag, if I have no one next to me, they don't care if I'm 5'7" or if I'm 6'4", because if the clothes fit nicely or if they have to adjust it in the back, they're looking for
Mm.
the look, the emotion, what's going to sell this, and as far as like modeling with height, I'd say anyone tall, and it doesn't matter if you're 6 foot, 6'3", 6'4", the fashion, the runway, they always want you. The clothes drape better, quite
Mm.
honestly. So, you may just be niched. Let's say you don't have the look, but you've got the body, because you see very androgynous women doing runway, not apple pie, blonde hair, kind of, you see very different looking women that are absolutely gorgeous.
Mhm.
So they strut the runway, and it's a matter of your agent once you secure one. And that's part two of this for me, I think, is to submit you to do these runway shows. And you are a runway model. I'm sorry, but there's print and there's runway models. The two rarely, unless you are a top-notch model, intertwine, because then all of a sudden you are the head of that runway show. Okay, let's not talk about Victoria's Secret. That's a whole nother thing. But any runway show, they've got like their main capture, and the rest are people you just never know. It's a household name you'll never know. And they're just walking around, and they're gaunt, and they just make the clothes look good, because the focus for designers is that their clothes looks good, not you,
Oh,
not you. So
okay.
now imagine these are falling and draping on this very rail thin woman or man. You put those same clothes in a woman that's shorter, it's going to expand a little bit wider and pull a little bit up, hence the plus size that's happening. So yes, our niche is really not there. They've gone, everyone was crying about plus size and fuller girls. Well, they got that, and that's been going strong, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're not going to have that. I really don't think so. As tall women, we will continue just to fit in. I mean, if you are super tall, you need to do modeling in Norway, Denmark, Germany. These are your markets. You're not going to be Japan. You're not going to be Brazil. I was fortunate in Greece. I was very fortunate in Spain, because I was like lingerie and swimsuits and stuff. France, but it was exposure and testing. So here's my advice for women who are tall that want to model: treat it like a job. When you apply for a job, you research, right? There are literally, as the English would say, literally hundreds of agencies throughout the world. You're tall, start looking at agencies in all those Nordic countries, but also New York. And let's say you have a funny face. Let's say you are androgynous. They have agencies called funny faces, or just runway models. No one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to caress it and go, "Oh my, sorry, are you a model?" come this way, come this way. No, it's a job. You research and you apply. You apply to the agencies once you've done your research. You scroll like a troll. You go through it and you go, okay, okay, that kind of looks like me. And if they don't have someone that looks like you, there's your window. You email them and go, I went through your website. I see so many beautiful, people of different, but I don't see someone that looks like me. I'm attaching my photos and blah, 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 blah. And here are my stats in my body. And here's a front photo of me, a profile, and a body shot. I look forward to hearing from you. It's a damn job. I mean, I don't know why people think modeling is just like, it's a, one and done. And I just did a modeling job. No, it's a career. It's a career. You can make money. I've made money modeling. I've socked away money, investment. So I don't treat it like just a hobby. It is a job. But for me, it was a professional career. I don't call myself a model. I call myself a professional model because I've traveled around the world. I'm not Snap-on tools. Calendar girl. Have I done calendars like that? Oh yeah, I've done swimsuit stuff like that. But you do have to treat this as a job. No one's going to sugarcoat it. No one's going to hold your hand. You're going to hear a lot of no's, or you're going to hear a lot of crickets too. So be prepared. Well, I sent it on Friday. It's Wednesday. I haven't heard from them. You and 300 other people submitted their photos. So unless you stand out where they're just drooling come Monday morning because they were bored at home, the agents, and they're looking, I need to reach out to this person. Stand down, just relax. Keep applying, because one day when they're looking at all the photos on their wall of people they represent and people they have to push to make their commission, let's say someone dies, got married, got pregnant, got too fat, got too skinny, moved away, there becomes a void. Don't give up. Don't give up. If you like a certain agency going, hey, I'm just gentle reminder, just a tickler. Here's my photo. Here's how I look now. You looking for a 6'1" blonde with a body like this, that kind of thing. Like, they're like, oh, she's interesting. I bet you she'd be fine on set. They have to trust you. You're going on set. Are you going to be all doped up, drugged up, late, early? Seriously, it's a job. It's a job, and you have to be professional about it. And you have to treat applying for your job very professionally. And that's my 2 cents about that.
That is honestly some very great advice. Like treating it like a I like to say JAWB. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying treating it like a JAWB, like that means you actually have to take it seriously. Like you said, do your research, apply, and it's not something that's just gonna come easily, something that you really have to work for.
Listen, when I had to reinvent myself after 30 years of not being in it, successfully raising a family, getting 2 degrees, whatnot, I had to go, who am I? I'm not that girl that was the L cover who was 6 feet tall at the time and was a size 10. I am now this. How do I sell myself? And I had to scroll, look around, talk to old bookers that are no longer bookers, but people I knew in the day, and going, hey, do you know someone? Word of mouth, connecting. And that's how I landed it. I also took the time too in my acting portion, although a Screen Actors Guild, when you fall off, they want you to pay a hefty price to get back on. I went, I'm going to stay non-union as long as possible for right now. But I actually went to the UK. I did a master class for like a month, submerged for a month, was in an Airbnb. And I dedicated the time and the finances because I wanted to get the rust off this old bucket. And I'm so happy I did. And the professor's just like, welcome back, girl. And it feels good. You have to love what you do. I love being a tall fashion brand. I love being an actress. I love being a model. I love how they all intertwine together. And I seriously treat it as a career. One quick little anecdote. I remember being with Wilhelmina Models in New York. And, you talk with other models and they're like, oh, I've got this casting out in Long Island. It's for a costume shop. The costume, like you pull out the clown or whatever. And there was one for a Xena princess. And I called my agent. I'm like, how come I didn't get this casting? Oh, it's Paryse, you're not going to be good for it. I'm like, can I please go on it? She goes, okay, here's the address. I went, I freaking booked it. So you have to have confidence in yourself. I went, you know what? Who's better than Xena, than this 6 foot dripping girl? Forget the girls that are 5'7" coming in for the job. No. And it was like they booked me the same day. So you have to have confidence in yourself when you feel someone may not, or is like thinking in that little box. and you feel good about something, you trust in yourself. It's just what you got to do.
Wow, that was great, great advice for any tall women out there just looking, or honestly, any model out there just trying to get into the industry or, get their big break in the industry. And I do have to ask, like, where can we find you on the interweb? Like on the internet, like where can we find
Don't
you
send
so
it
we
to
can
the
hit you
web.
up with
You can find me at Paryse Style, Paryse Style on either Facebook or on Instagram. I don't do Twitter. I don't do TikTok. It's not my market, not my peeps. Not that I shun it. It's just like I don't have enough time to dedicate to that. I just don't. I'm always open to people messaging me if they have questions, if they're about to purchase something and they just reach out. I mean, before I get too big, no, just reach out. Just reach out, message me, and I'm happy to do a FaceTime with you and show you a garment and show you how it works and what it's like and go over the measurements one more time because I have investment pieces because I'm not going to be your $29, $39, $49 piece. I'm not. But I want you to be able to have longevity with it. I want you to be able to use it with multiple purposes, stuff in your wardrobe. It's not a one and done. I don't do like the middleman wholesale and the people that take something plus size and pawn it off or take someone's design and add it. You can dupe.com any of my stuff and you will not find it anywhere. That's how much I love my stuff. That's how much it's built from the ground up. I love dupe.com too, by the way.
I did not know that something like that existed. I may actually look that up.
Yeah, you can take a picture of something, including mine. I pray that you do, because if you find something similar to mine, it's probably like hundreds of dollars. So yeah, dupe.com, everything.
I'm just now finding out about this. I never knew that
Yeah,
existed. I'm going to look that up. Thank you so much again for just being on this podcast and just sharing your experiences about being a model and in the modeling industry, and also even sharing advice to other tall women who want to be in that industry. It was honestly so insightful.
absolutely. Anytime, any topic you want to pick. Like I said, I'm over half a century old. I got a notches in my belt. I got lots of stories to tell. Tall women, seriously, tall women, trust in yourself, believe in yourself. If you feel you got the androgynous look, you want a runway model, pick your poison. You want a runway model, or you want to print, editorial, or you want a catalog, you want to make that money. Figure out where you need to go, what you need to do. Also, figure out before you go crying, or not crying, you go knocking on someone's door. I want to be a model and do this. Are you married? Do you have young kids? Can you travel? Think about all the other things, because don't make them go, and then you go, and then you're deflated because they won't trust you again. It's
Mm,
like any business that you go to interview with. I want this job. I love it. I want to be an attorney. Oh, I've got to pick up my kid at 2, 3. It's a job.
yeah.
It's a job. It's a job.
Yeah. And I'm gonna leave your links in the description too, so that anybody who wants to hit you up for more advice and so forth, and even check out your brand, it's all gonna be in the description so people can see. And I'm gonna take the time to plug myself at a Tall Girls Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, literally everywhere you search me up on Google. Google knows me by now. Google's probably tired of me at this point, but it's okay because I'm not tired of this podcast. So, period.
I
Anyway,
love it. You do such an amazing job. I love it. I love it. I love it.
thank you. Everything is going to be linked in the description. And thank you so much again, Paryse, for being here and sharing your experience. It was honestly so amazing.
Well, have a great night, or
Yay.
have a
Oh,
great
and
day.
yeah. Yeah, we could say have a great night because that goes with my outro. So I say, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Good night and goodbye.